That's brilliant. We're a bit clinky, Michael. Hello, everyone. Bananas. Who's bananas?
Hiya.
It's okay, don't worry. It's okay, don't worry. I'm going downstairs.
No, we're, yeah.
Gallery view.
No, we're on with everybody now.
Everybody's getting set up. Yeah. Very good. That's our friend Jim. It's a very good idea, this actually, because going out is an awful lot of effort.
That's cool.
And
Oh, yeah, you do. I'm just setting up.
Interesting looking down
Any meeting.
how are you? Hi, John.
Hello, John.
Hi, John. Hi, Cyril.
Hey, Paul.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Mahan.
Hello there. Hello.
How are you doing?
Hi.
No, man.
We had to share a desk, and when we started our pre-class Oscar speech.
Oh yeah, no.
There's your fox.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But some people decide not
So
to.
I walk around the front of the scene.
Very well, and Michael.
Right? It's so please, I'll go to some good news. That's amazing. When?
And trees will get on the chair.
Summer, spring break. When you're supposed to come visit me. Sorry.
He'll have to.
Nothing.
Did you see?
No.
The bad luck is not traveling time zones. Speaking of which, 3 hours later here. All right, keep forgetting. Good night.
Excellent. Mary Celeste, just say hello.
You can do that.
Hello, Mike.
You own a brand by now. Registered brand.
Give me a wave.
Killian,
When you talk, I get invited into. I don't know.
Everybody was writing it.
Well, that's the reason it happens.
Which one did you do?
First. And Mullen is chairman.
Going to address you.
Yeah.
Oh, that was guys.
Some point.
So half the people, Laura, have their cameras off, and half of them have them on. More than half. Lots of people are eating.
You can look at everyone else's. Yeah.
Telling everything.
All right, thanks.
There's 2 people in the room.
Hello, everyone. We've just muted you all now. It's a sound that we absolutely love when everyone's just tuning in. And it's a sound that should really stay there all night long because it's great crack that we're back. And it's we haven't done a tasting with as many as this for the whole summer. So it's lovely. And the nicest thing about tonight is that you all chose, we could all be in restaurants and bars and pubs, but actually being together on a tasting like this is it's great that you all chose to come again. We hoped there would be an appetite for this. We hoped that you'd look forward to a tasting like this with Bodegas Torres. I think we have Lucas on, so hopefully he's here somewhere and will unmute himself accordingly in just a moment. But it's great to have you all back. It's lovely to have you all here. And someone's going to win a trip to Spain tonight. Someone is going to Spain, not till next year, admittedly, but when I suppose we all want to go to Spain next year, but and we all will go to all these different regions. Lucas, I see you there. How are you? Yeah, get yourself unmuted because you're coming in just a moment. You're very welcome. It's great to see you. It's great to see so many. I think we're up at, I think we let it all go to 77, 78. So there's people are still joining and we'll hop in their own time. We love this, and it's tonight's going to be really special because we've done a few different winemaker tastings in the series over the last 12 or 18 months where we've had a winery and we've had all of the grapes or the wines from the winery, but Torres are different. Torres from Spain are really, really different. Tonight we're going to taste not just 6 different wines, but 6 wines from 6 completely and utterly different regions all across Spain. And as we just pointed out just before we came on here, not one of them Rioja, which is...
We're not Rioja bashing here.
We're not. But Ireland loves Rioja. We have an absolute love affair with Rioja, and we don't have any Rioja on here tonight. So we're going premium. We're going different. This is all about the premium wines from the Torres estates. And really learning about different wines that Torres make outside of Rioja, and they make great Rioja. But it's with big thanks firstly to Lucas Gailhac from Torres and Torres themselves for a huge amount of support, because the wines that we're drinking tonight, I don't need to say it, but the next hour and a half you will see yourself, they're really, really great wines. Some of them are not available here in Ireland. Being brought in tonight for the event and for this tasting. But also a big thanks to their Irish agent, Findlaters. I know Peter and Michelle are on here. Have been a huge help to supporting us getting the wines in. To you guys also, we originally scheduled it for October the 8th, and we had to push it because some of the wines didn't get here, and we don't need to bore you with the global logistical supply chain issues and problems of getting wine into Ireland at the moment. But it's great that we can do it. It's brilliant kickoff. It's a great start to a bank holiday weekend. We're really excited. In fact, we just said beforehand, Michael and I were having some pizza. And we said no one's more excited about this than we are as well. So I don't want to kick on any longer. I suppose you have a word or two to say about Lucas and Torres, and I will see you during the course of the evening. Please ask questions. We will mute everyone as we go if we need to, but really unmute yourself. It's a bit of crack. It's really lighthearted. We've all done this for long enough at this stage. So join in as you will. Ask as many questions as you'd like to, either on the chat, and I'll keep an eye on that, or just chime in and ask Lucas some questions as well as we go, because he is a man of wisdom.
We told Lucas before we came on here that an Irish audience is a different audience. Everybody likes to have a laugh. And the fact that all the restrictions have been lifted today and you're still here. So it says an awful lot about your host. Torres are like an Irish institution. We all know the bull language. You all know about that. So yeah, I'd just like to say thanks to everybody for coming. I'd like to say a small special thanks to Tom McKernan and Cork and Bottle from Cork. Ireland's oldest wine club have chosen to join us, which is really nice. And I hope it lives up to your expectations. Torres have, I think they have 1,300 employees. They have
worldwide,
a huge amount of people work for them. They have huge winemaking team. But one person who knows a bit about everything that the company does and knows all the areas and all the wines is Lucas Gailhac, who we have here tonight. And I'm so happy. And he is a man who likes to talk, and a man who is easy to look at. He's a good looking guy. So I would just like to introduce Lucas and take it away, and good luck.
Thank you very much for the introduction. Well, thank you guys for being here. Thank you very much, Finlater and people of Wine Online, because this is, as you said, this is, the things are opening little by little, but you still bet on these online tastings that are fantastic. Fantastic way of making you travel to Spain, to the different parts of Spain, while you are still over there. You will be more than welcome once all the restrictions are lifted. But at the time, this is what we have, no? To do this online virtual tasting. And my idea for today was to show you a lot of pictures of the places where we make the wine, in order to give you an idea of what is it about every single wine, and why not, if you are planning the vacation for next year, to have a sneak peek of every single place. As Will and you were saying before, Torres is a company that has 1,300 employees all around the world. Since the very beginning, the international outlook was very important, and we are proud to say that we trade in over 150 countries around the world. So everywhere you go, you will find a little bottle of Torres somewhere. Huh? It can be in a fine dining restaurant, or it might be maybe in a supermarket, because Torres has a big spectrum in terms of the range of the wines that we have. And I like to say that we have two different businesses. We are negociant, so we buy grapes and we make wines for every day, like Sangre de Toro, Viña Sol, the ones that you can find maybe in your place, or mainly in supermarkets, like Sangre de Toro, Viña Sol, I said before. And then for specifically single vineyard wines, more chiseled wines, we have another business, which is what the Familia likes to be linked with, that are the wines that we will taste today or tonight. Let me tell you that you made a fantastic selection of the wines, because, as you said, this is a wide range of wines, completely different one from each other. That gives you a little picture of what we are doing now here in Torres. So without any further delay, I will start showing you the presentation that I prepared for you today. That is about, again, a lot of pictures. It is not a very technical presentation, because we don't want to do it like this. We want to share the moment here. I know it's Friday, you had a long week, a long busy week, and now it's about relaxing, having a drink, talking a little bit about wines, about history, regions. Okay, so I will start. First of all, this is a good slide to start with, because you see here the logo Torres, and it says Familia Torres since 1870. So this means that the company is still a family-run business, and everything started in 1870. So that means that last year we turned 150 years old. Plenty of celebrations were planned, all of them that were cancelled, but well, at least we could virtually taste last year, and we hope that soon we will gather all together. And a little bit about me, that I'm here, Lucas Gailhac. I am originally from Argentina. I moved something like 9 years ago to work in London. I am a former sommelier. I'm still a sommelier, but I was working the floor. It's been a couple of years until the family approached me and they offered me to come here to live in Barcelona, or close to Barcelona, where we are in the winery. And well, imagine London with the weather, the food, and the working pace, changing for Barcelona, the weather, the food, the working pace. It took me 5 seconds to make the decision. So it's already 4 years that I'm working with the family here, and as a brand ambassador, traveling all around the world, physically or virtually, introducing the wines and trying to get the people know as much as we can the philosophy of the winery. I said before, this is Jaime Torres, the founder. In 1870, he founded the company. The family, though, is linked with viticulture since the 16th century. Is in 1870 that they founded the winery. At the beginning, they were buying wines, blending them in the cellar, putting them in barrels, and our winery is next to the train station. So all the barrels were going to the train station, to the port of Sitges, down south of Barcelona, and then everything was going all around the world. We are located here in Vilafranca del Penedès, this beautiful medieval town that dates back from the 11th century. We have a lovely cathedral here. If you come and visit, it's a 40,000 inhabitant town, very, very old. It's like a trip back in time, because everything remains more or less the same. Vilafranca is our town. Just to put it in the map, we are from Barcelona, 50 kilometers south and inland, in the Penedès region. Penedès, very well known for the cava, for the sparkling wine. Also has a little space for the still wines, and Familia Torres is always was always focused in still wines. That's why today we will see all still wines also. So we said 150 years ago the company started, and now we arrived to this coexisting two generations, the fourth and the fifth generation. Mr. Torres, Mr. Miguel Agustín Torres, our president, he was born in 1941. He left the control of the company in 2012 to Miguel Torres. It's very easy because in the Torres family, they are all named Miguel. So it's Miguel the first, the second, the third, the fourth, and the fifth. No, it's very easy to remember. So now we have the president that he says that he's half retired, but it's not true. The guy is always here every single day in the winery. He knows absolutely everything that is going on in the winery. But our CEO, our managing director, is Miguel, his son. And also we have here in the picture somebody really, really important. That is Mireia Torres. Mireia, the sister of Miquel, the daughter of Mr. Torres, she is a biochemist, and she's in charge of research, development, and innovation, something absolutely important for us because based on tradition, the family was always known for innovation. If you, maybe you don't know, but Mr. Torres was the one that introduced international varieties to Spain back in the 60s, was the first to be concerned about the global warming back in the early 2000s. He introduced also back in the 70s modern techniques for winemaking here in Spain, like stainless steel tanks or small barrels for aging the wine here in the Penedès region. So again, based on tradition, innovation is very important, and Mireia, leading the research, development, and innovation department, is a key person in our winery. We were talking about the climate change and how Mr. Torres was concerned. This is a little bit to show you what we are doing at this time, at this moment. Maybe you, or perhaps you heard about the phylloxera, this little bug that killed most of the vines around the world back in the 19th century. This was devastating for the whole wine industry. Luckily, we could overcome from this phylloxera, from this disease. But now we have the climatic change. We see it as the next phylloxera. So the next, or the biggest threat that we have nowadays is the climatic change. I like the family because everything that happens in the winery starts as a family anecdote. And it was Mr. Torres, the father, when he wanted to go to the cinema, to the local cinema here in Vilafranca, and he took his family. They went to watch An Inconvenient Truth. This is a documentary by Al Gore. He was the vice president of the United States. I'd rather say it's a very pessimistic documentary, but at least it's telling us the truth. Climatic change is the biggest threat, and if we don't look after the CO2 emissions, and if you don't look after the global warming, the beautiful wines that we are tasting today, in maybe 20, 50 or even less time, it will be completely impossible to be made. So in 2008, the family decided to create the Torres and Earth project. This is about this graphic that is telling us that more or less due to investigations or research during the time that the company was founded until now, we saw that the global temperature was increasing by more than 1 degree, and that was completely related or directly related to the CO2 emissions. So the idea of Mr. Torres, after watching this documentary, was to create this Torres and Earth project, and it was about tackling our CO2 emissions. The idea was our commitment was to diminish by 30% the CO2 emissions per bottle compared to 2008 by the year 2020. Luckily, every year we get audited by a third party that is telling us how are we doing with these CO2 emissions. And last year in 2020, we already reached 34% of these CO2 emissions that we diminish. The next goals will be for the year 2030 to reduce by 60% our CO2 emissions, and in the mid and long term to be carbon neutral. We are speaking about to redefine the organic viticulture, and maybe this we can develop it later on where we are tasting the wines. And so how did we do in order to diminish the CO2 emissions? So we took several initiatives, and here we have some of them. I can mention a little bit about photovoltaic panels. So 25% of the energy that we generate, that we use, we generated ourselves. The idea is to put more and more photovoltaic panels in order to generate all our electricity. Maybe because I know the destination of coming to Barcelona and going to the winery is very popular. So maybe some of you already visited the winery. There is a famous train that goes around the vineyard, showing you a little bit when you are visiting. So now that train that used to be run by petrol now is run by a solar panel and an electric engine. So we are also using electric or hybrid cars in our fleet to move around the wineries. Also, we are trapping the water and trying to reuse as much as we can this water. So we know that we don't need drinkable water in order to clean a tractor. So we will reuse as much as we can that water that we trap from the rain. Also, we are working we are trying to find different locations in fresher places in order to plant grapes and have fresher wines. No, the problem that we are having now is that grape varieties that are very sensitive to the heat, they are like over-ripening very easily. And for example, Merlot here, while it used to ripe very good, nowadays we are struggling in ripening the Merlot because it can have a heat wave that makes it raisins, and we cannot make good wine out of raisins. No? So we are looking for new scenarios in order to look for cooler, fresher areas, and many other initiatives that if you go to torresandearth.com, you will find the whole project. And in order to change the paradigm, we are working very hard in this regenerative viticulture. This might be very technique, but the idea is that if we plant any green cover or any cover crop in between the lines of grapes, instead of releasing CO2 in the atmosphere, we will trap it. And like this, the CO2 will not go into the atmosphere. So how do we do it? The idea is to regenerate the soil by working in these two pillars, in having the ground covered as much as we can along the year, and also increasing the organic matter. So the idea is to generate an ecosystem that will make the soil a little bit more fertile. We all studied that the poorer the soil, the better the wines. No, this was always an axioma from the wine studies. But we just realized that if we have a little bit more of this organic matter, minerals, and microorganisms, we will get benefited. First, because we don't send CO2 to the atmosphere, it gets trapped. Then because through the photosynthesis, these little cover grounds, they will swallow the CO2 and release oxygen. And then because the animals that they will pass by the vineyards. If we have a monoculture, we have a monoculture of vineyards, they will all go and eat our leaves or our grapes. But if they have something else to eat, they will not deprive our vineyards. No, just to give you an idea, Mas La Plana, our signature vineyard, this was a couple like 2 years ago. The soil was very poor. Mas de la Rosa in Priorat, another signature vineyard that we have, it was very poor, and this is how they look now. Apart from looking more beautiful, this is helping a lot the health of the soil and the quality of the grapes. So the idea is little by little to move to this regenerative viticulture, and like this we will have more quality in our grapes.
Lucas, can I just ask you a very quick question there? On that previous slide, that's Mas La Plana, where the winner will go from tonight's race,
yes.
Right?
Yes, indeed. So Mas La Plana is our, we like to say, is the family jewel. It's the wine that put Torres in the map. Back in the 70s, this wine, imagine, a Cabernet Sauvignon with a black label in a Burgundy bottle, went to France to a blind contest, a blind tasting contest, and it beat all the great chateaux in France. So that showed the world that Mas La Plana could, and Torres and Spain could make world-class wines. Mas La Plana happened to be the garden of Mr. Torres. Mr. Torres lives in Mas La Plana. Mas stands for Masia, country house in Catalonia, and La Plana because there is a little plain where the vineyard is set. And our visitor center is just next to Mas La Plana. So you can see Mr. Torres riding the bicycle over there. You can have a lunch in El Selleret, our beautiful restaurant, and you can drink of Mas La Plana from the vineyard. And the winner tonight will be here in Mas La Plana, of course.
Lucas, when I joined the wine industry, like maybe
100 years,
9-10 years ago, one of the first wines that someone said to me was, you must absolutely make sure that if you taste one wine from Spain in your life, it's Mas La Plana. And it's achievable. Is it 50 or 60 a bottle? So it's obviously expensive. It's one of Spain's best wines. But it's a flagship hallmark. It's totally different than anything you see, isn't it? From
if you went to a restaurant at the moment, you would pay the same for house wine. So think about it that way.
Yes, yeah. I mean, if you speak to the commercial team in our winery, they are a little bit angry because they say we cannot charge more just because we are not from France. No, but the quality is there. It's fantastic. And with so many years in the market, a lot of research, the quality is getting better and better every year. The vines are getting older, more concentrated. So if you have the chance to grab a bottle of Mas La Plana, please do.
Well, we'll tell everyone about those, plus the other wines, plus the ones they have in their glass tonight.
Maybe we should go to northern Spain now, yeah.
Well, so everyone does have in their glass, Lucas, some Albarino, I think is our first wine tonight, isn't it? Over in Riesling.
Yes.
I always wonder if I pronounce that correctly.
Baixas, yeah, Rias Baixas. Yeah, even if, Spain is a mix of different cultures, and Spain is a kingdom that before it used to be different kingdoms, and now it is Spain. I'm saying this because today we are in Spain. We can enjoy wines from all over the country, from north to south, from east to west. You will find wine. In fact, this technical map is telling us that we have 70 DOs, 70 different appellations, and again, you can find wine from pretty much all over the country. Now we are focusing in Rias Baixas for the first wine. I hope you are enjoying already the glass of Albarino. If you are not, please. You can start while I'm explaining a little bit about Rias Baixas and about Torres in Rias Baixas. We are originally from Catalonia, but from the early 2000s, the new generation of the family, the fifth generation, they decided to take the opportunity of being so well known and to expand the portfolio, building wineries in different parts of Spain, in the quality parts. That's how we arrived in 2012 in Pazo Torre Penelas. This is in Rias Baixas in Galicia. Just to give you an idea, this is the landscape of Galicia, and Galicia has a very long history in winemaking. And I must say that here in Spain, the monks or the church has a very important role in terms of winemaking, because from the 10th to the 12th century, a lot of land was given to the monks to populate the areas. And you know always that if you have a monastery or a church, or there is a winery, or they are making cheese, or they are making beer, or the three of them. Well, in the case of Spain, because of the sun and the soils and the climate, winemaking was very easy for them, and they decided to establish in different parts. And this is the case of Rias Baixas. Rias Baixas is in Galicia, very close to the Atlantic Ocean. And over there, we can experience what we call Atlantic climate or maritime climate. The seasons are quite mild. They are not very marked. So there are not a lot of difference between the winter and the summer. They enjoy a lot of sun, but a lot of rain. We know that if we are close to a big mass of water, well, you know that if you are close to a big mass of water, you have a lot of clouds, no? Here, the rain is very, well, it's very important, the amount of rain every year, but we also have sun, and we have the typical granite soil that makes the water to drain very easily. Also, the grape variety, the star grape variety over there is the Albarino, the one that you have in the glass here. Why the Albarino? Because it's very resistant. It has a thick skin, and it's very resistant to the humidity, to the damp weather. So imagine if you have a lot of humidity, you have this resistance, and if the humidity settles in the vineyard and you have fungus or diseases, Albarino helps a little bit more to resist to those diseases. Also, something interesting, if you see in the pictures, the way we shape the vineyards is called pergola. So the idea is, because it's so humid over there, we don't want the humidity to stay in the vineyard. So we will train the vines quite high at 150, 100, yes, 1.5 meters or 1.80 meters of altitude. And like this, all the humidity that is in the vineyard, with the winds that blows, we allowed with this pergola system to blow away the humidity. Then, sorry. Then for the harvesting, it's a little bit more difficult because the grapes are all hanging, and you need to go down the pergola and pick them all by hand. But I would say historically they are doing this because of this reason, because of the humidity. And another reason is that the monks that they established here, they were French monks, and differently to what happens here in Spain, that when the father was dying, everything was going to the eldest son. Here in Galicia, they were making like in France. So if the father was dying, all the vineyards or the land was divided in the amount of heirs. So that means that there was very little space of land for every children, and that's how they were doing in order to maximize the space. They were putting the grapes on top, like 1.5 meters, and below the grapes they were planting other crops. That's the other reason why we make the pergola. So here we have Pazo Torre Penelas, this very old kind of castle. It belonged to one of the Spanish conquerors back in the 15th, 16th century. Now belongs to the family. And here we have 6 hectares of Albarino. Some of them we use them for the Pazo das Bruxas. We also have this granite eggs. Very, very exclusive, because we are the first winery to make an egg to ferment and age the wine, not out of concrete, of a mix of cement, but from granite, the soil that we have in the very same vineyard. And that's how we arrived here to Pazo das Bruxas. This beautiful Albarino from the sunny and rainy Rias Baixas, very close to the sea. And many people can tell us that Albarino has a lot of citrusy character, and it's very, very fresh. If you need to assess the wine, I will stop sharing the screen so I can see you a little bit more. And if you have any question, please do.
I think you have some Irish blood, and you have the gift of the gab totally. I've never heard anybody who your English is perfect and you have such a vocabulary. It's amazing.
But you also fit about 2 hours worth of content into what you just spoke of there. It's amazing how you are able to dictate so much so quickly. It's fascinating. I love the high pergolas, and the photographs there are beautiful, aren't they? They really show the region.
Sorry for my heavy accent, and I know I speak a little bit quick, and with this heavy accent sometimes can be a bit difficult to understand. But then you will have the presentation, and you can go slowly, and you can read it in English. So we were talking about the Pazo das Bruxas, this beautiful Albarino that we don't want to complicate things in here. What we do is we pick the grapes from these pergolas, we put them in stainless steel tanks to ferment, and then we will bottle it. Just a little percentage of the wine will go in these concrete tanks, and this is because we want the wine to gain complexity. The concrete tank, or the granite tank, what will give is a little bit of this oxygen interchange that is from outside and inside the granite egg will start to play, and making the wine a little bit more rounded. It will gain volume in the palate. When we say rounded, we say a little bit more oily or creamy. Without being this buttery Chardonnay, we have an extra weight in the palate that makes it not only special as an aperitif, but also very food friendly. In terms of nose, here we have a lot of citrusy character. It might take you a little bit to the tropical fruits, a bit of pineapple, why not? And some people find a seductive floral, like kind of honeysuckle aromas. In the palate, again, is really fresh. When we say fresh, we say the acidity is quite high. Remember, if it rains a lot, we have a wet soil. The grapes they don't overripe. They ripe just enough to give us this citrusy character, keeping a lot of acidity. If we say acidity, it doesn't sound very good. If we say freshness, mouth-watering sensation, crispiness, it starts to be more tempting. Definitely makes your mouth to water straight away, this wine.
And if we were to have food, what is the best food?
Well, I recommended paella, since we were having this tasting, and I wanted to make it very Spanish, no? Paella is really good because, and seafood paella, I think is very good for this wine, because seafood is high in acidity. This wine is also high in acidity. That could combine really good. But again, as an aperitif, could go fantastic. You can go for raw seafood. So if you have a seafood platter with oysters, clams, you can have mussels. This is perfect. Mussels, even you can grab a bottle of Albarino, of Pazo das Bruxas. When you are making the mussels, you put a good dash of Albarino, and you will cook it. No, not too much. Then you don't have to drink, but just a little bit. And also for like fresh goat cheese works really good. A caprese salad can go also very good, and even for like a green salad with vegetables, a bit of green, a bit of tomato. Tomato is also high in acidity. So if you don't like meat or fish, you can go just for a fresh salad. And this Albarino, I think you won't go wrong.
It would be great to hear if anyone cooked the paella. I was just putting up all the recipes just there that we actually sent out in the recipe book, because you put a lot of work into that, Lucas. It was really good. The team there did, and lovely to have. I think even because Albarino is so popular now as well as a style, it's even good to have those recipes ongoing because I know not everyone opens all of the wines on the night of the tasting. I've heard some horror stories of some who have and haven't been able to avoid temptation, and 2 or 4 people have finished all of the wines in the night and not taken the weekend to do it. So it's great, but if anyone's cooked the paella, tell us please, because it would be great to hear your thoughts on it. I love it. I think it's so fresh, this wine. It's so vibrant. It just jumps out. The citrus fruit is
it's from north of Spain, where this is from. The people from that area are quite Irish looking. The country itself, that part of the country, is quite like Ireland. It's very green, a lot of rain, and the music. I don't know if anybody's listened to the music from Riesling. Very much like Irish music. It's very weird.
a lot of, if you go to Galicia and Rías Baixas, I don't know when, but there's a lot of Celtic influence. You will see a lot of crosses and the bagpipe that you use over there. You have it over there. There's another drink. There's a cider over there called El Gaitero, or the piper, no, and it's very, very typical from there. There's a lot of influence from the Celtics here. Even once I read that Catalonia, it was named Catalonia. It came from Kettle land, from the Celtics, that they came here many years ago. So there's a lot of influence of Celtic people here in Spain, but mostly in Galicia.
Okay. I must interject, because I'm keeping an eye on the chat. There's a couple of questions that are coming in, which we'll get to during the course of the evening, right? But Jane and Paul Cathcart have just been told that their second granddaughter has been born just now.
Oh.
So that's not happened on one of these live tastings before, but let's raise our glass to that. Congratulations.
Hello, cheers.
How great news. What great news. So
yes.
What a lovely thing to raise our Albarina to. So congratulations. No names, I assume, just yet, but if so, let us know through the course of the evening. That's great news. Congratulations. Brilliant.
Okay, so look, I can see here in the chat that Jane and Paul, they cooked the paella.
Yeah, and they've cooked the paella, but haven't got to eat it, of course. Who cares about that? Not right now, like.
Yeah, I would love to be there, because I didn't have lunch today, and I'm hungry. I would love to have your paella.
Well, when you come to Dublin next, Lucas, we'll do all this all over again, and Jane and Paul can cook the paella for all of us.
Fantastic, yeah. Well, they'll have to cook a lot of paella. We are 84 already.
So, yeah.
Would you like to try the Riesling?
Yes, fantastic. Let's move to the Riesling. And the reason we are tasting now the Albarino and we are moving to the Riesling is because you will see that Albarino is light, is fresh, but has a dry finish. While this Riesling that you will taste now is what we call off-dry. We settle it in the off-dry. So it's just off the dry region. No? It has something like between 7 and 8 grams of residual sugar. And it's coming from the Penedès region. If you can see in Catalonia, on your right-hand side of the map, we have the Penedès region. Penedès is our origin, is where everything started for Familia Torres. And this one has a particular, because Riesling originally is from Germany. It grows very good also in the north of France, close to Germany, of course, and it's very popular in cool regions. And you think, what is Riesling doing here in Barcelona, no? With this Mediterranean weather? First of all, we need to mention that Penedès is a very wide area. It's not really big, but the important thing is that we have different altitudes. We can divide the Penedès in the Penedès from the seaside, in the mid Penedès, about 200 meters above the sea level, and the high Penedès. So the higher we go, the cooler the weather. And over there you will find the Riesling, Sauvignon Blanc, and the cool weather varieties. Penedès is a very long, or a very old wine region. When we say all roads lead to Rome, Penedès is the best example, because the Via Augusta or Via Appia, this road that link Rome with all the other cities around the Roman Empire, passed by the Penedès area. And well, it gained international recognition because of Masla Plana and the international varieties planted here. We were talking about the climate and the soils, and we are lucky to say that Penedès has a wide range of different microclimates that allows us to plant many different varieties. You will see here a lot of white grapes, a lot of red grapes, also white grapes for sparkling wines, for the cava, the classic Penedès is very important. But today we are talking about Waltraud and about Riesling. You will see that the name is very German. Riesling is a German variety. And in fact, Mrs. Waltraud is Mr. Torres' wife, and this is a gift from Mr. Torres to his wife, because back in the 70s, she was working in the German market. She's originally from Germany. They got known, they got married. They're still happily married here, living in Mazaplana. And at the beginning, Mrs. Waltraud, she was working and she opened the German market. She was the export manager for many years here in Germany. And as a tribute or as a proof of love, Mr. Torres decided to plant a German variety here in the Penedès and naming the wine, the Riesling, after Mrs. Waltraud. And this is the link with the Riesling, the German origin, and the Familia Torres. Also, Waltraud is the name of the cellar where we keep our best wines. So, for example, Mazaplana, once it's fermented and it's been aged, we will keep it for 3 years in the Waltraud cellar in order to gain complexity before we send it to the market. We have another 2 cellars called Margarita and Josefa, and these are the cellars of the family, and they are named after the women of the family. Waltraud is the one that we are using at the moment to keep our best wines. And Waltraud is an artist. She's a painter, so she's not working in the wine anymore. And she was always an artist. You will see for the winner, if you come here, you will see a lot of her artworks all around the place. And also the drawing, the artwork that you have on the label is a representation of a vineyard made by Waltraud. So a very Waltraud wine. So talking about the Waltraud, I will again stop sharing the screen. Now we have the Waltraud. It's a Riesling with this radiant pale gold color, classic from the Riesling, and in my opinion, it's very elegant in its varietal expression of orange blossom, a lot of citrusy character also. I like to say it's a Riesling that you know that it's not coming from a very, very cold region, because it starts also to develop a little bit of this, some people, they say fuel, or petrol. I like to say white truffles. This is my descriptor for me. No, it has this kind of, because if you say, Madam, I used to work in a restaurant. No, you say, Madam, this wine tastes like petrol. I didn't come here to taste petrol. No?
I did the same job as you for years in the restaurants, and I was trying to explain how good Riesling actually is. It's very misunderstood. And when I said, the very thing you said was like, it's got linoleum, which is what they make the floor coverings for houses for back in the day. And they went, it tastes like floor. And I went, oh, I'm really...
Give me another thing.
But there's so much going on here, Lucas. Like, it's really aromatic. I love that it's slightly off dry. So, there's a question, we discussed this earlier on as well, about does the Irish market really particularly like very, very dry wines? But actually, Peter, you made a great comment, if you're there, he made a great comment about in our red wines, we do like sweet wines. Further south you go in Europe, we really like, Ireland is really, really accustomed to really big, heavy Primitivos, and southern Italy and Italian wines, and Spain and Portugal for that sense as well. So, but when it comes to whites, we're slightly on the fence. But this is, once you put this with food, like, there's so many different things you can, this is one of those wines, I think, that when you write a tasting note on, you could just keep writing, because you taste lots. You taste the aromatics and the peach and white fruits and there's so much going on here. And once you put
as
it
it
food,
warms up again, it changes.
I think that's what's making it even better, actually, is that it's been out of the fridge a little while, so it's slightly warmer. But put this with food, and I dare to ask you what you would do with food aside from the codfish recipe that we have. But because on top of that, this could just go with anything, couldn't it?
Well, I would have mussels and oysters and scallops, things like that.
Or like goat's cheese, beetroot, and starters. I even just mentioned to Michael, it's a little bit early for the C word, but a starter of smoked salmon and things like that, it's a really easygoing light wine. And
or something as simple as like sushi or Asian food, the key of this wine is that here you have a little bit of sugar, really good acidity, and a quite low level of alcohol. Now we are used to, if you go here in Spain, it's very easy to find 13 and a half, 14 degree alcohol white wines. Here we always keep it in between 11, 12. Some years that are quite hot, it can go to 12 and a half. This is the way we make the wine. Is we pick the grapes with a potential alcohol higher than the one that we get in the wine. So in the final wine. So the idea is to ferment the wine until a point that we will leave the desired amount of sugar. We will stop the fermentation, cooling down the vat, and like this we remain with this slightly sweet finish. And why do I say this? It is because this helps very good for the Asian food, Indian food, all the spicy hot food that you can find in the market. It goes very good. First of all, because if you go for an alcoholic wine with this spicy food, it's like adding fuel to the fire. No, it's the burning sensation. It just increases. And second is that this little sugar will create a little film inside the palate that will help you to cool down this spicy sensation.
It adds balance to a spicy meal, doesn't it? The sugar really adds balance.
Yes, it will really balance it. So if you ask me, I love Thai food, and this is perfect for Thai food, Indian food. With sometimes it's not very spicy, but it has a very strong aromas and strong taste. This wine is very supple in the palate, but it jumps to your nose. It's very expressive. So, if you have an expressive food, go for expressive wines like this Riesling. And seafood again also.
Lucas, Donald's jumping in just asking what the residual sugar percentage is here.
It's about 7 or 8 grams of residual sugar.
So, amazing. It's you can taste it here. Yes, there's many red wines that are double that in Ireland that we drink regularly, and we wouldn't realize that we think it's ripe fruit, or it's it all gets.
I think the key here is for the variety is the high acidity that naturally has this variety, and this helps to balance. Well, Peter and Michelle, they are here. They heard this from me 1,000 times, but I like always to explain that sweetness and acidity that has always to be in a very good balance. The silly example is that if I give you a glass of water, let's say sparkling water with 2 scoops of sugar, I tell you, please drink this, you will have something cloying, and you will end up saying, no, this is not good. But if I start adding drops of lemon juice to that salty, sweet water, the acidity of the lemon will start to balance the sweetness, and you have a nice lemonade. If you add a double of gin, you have a Tom Collins, but we are talking about something different.
it's like Coke.
Can I come in here? We're listening to you guys all the time. Greetings from Spain. I'm also in Spain. And
Jim.
Nerja.
Okay. El balcón de Europa.
Yeah. How much does this retail for the Riesling in Ireland? I bought it today in Andalusia for 18.90. How much does it retail in Spain?
I've just popped up a link, Jim. And
in Ireland?
In Ireland, it's €18 in Ireland, but we stuck up this. Torres have hugely supported this event. So one of the things I was going to mention only later on at the end of it is, I stuck a link up there just because I think it's important that we all know the price of the bottles that we're tasting as we go through the tasting. So this is €18, but I've put a link onto our homepage tonight where there's 20% off, supported by both Findlater and Torres tonight, that anyone who likes any of the wines, and that's there till early next week, till Tuesday, I think. But so this is down to €14.40, but it's a retail of €18 normally.
Oh, that's good. That's good value. Yeah.
It's lovely wine, isn't it? It's really. It's because actually another question, Lucas, I thought of is how many people are making 100% Rieslings from from the east coast of Spain. I haven't seen any.
Somontano, I think, is more. Somontano would be a place where they would make Riesling.
Yeah, in Italy, in Piemonte, in Val d'Aosta, you'll find some Riesling. But in here, and also there are not a lot of appellations that allow to plant the Riesling. Like from here, from Catalonia, I know from Penedès and Costés del Segre. But Costés del Segre is an appellation that is very inland. Today we will taste the Purgatory from there, and it's more focused in red wines. But because it's close to the Pyrenees, at almost 1,000 meters above the sea level, over there in that very high altitude, you might find a good Riesling. And that's the thing. How many people is planting Riesling, making wine out of Riesling, and making good Riesling? That's another thing. But with this kind of wines that we are showing today, very chiseled from specific vineyards, from very well-known and recognized appellations, these are wines that we are not making them since 2-5 years. These are wines that we were making them for more than 20 years, and there was a lot of experimenting until we reached this quality,
There's a certain German style to this Riesling, because I know the Germans tend to keep a little bit of residual sugar in their Rieslings, as opposed to the Alsatians make them very, very dry.
Yes.
This has influence.
Yeah, it goes. This Riesling goes to Germany, and it's quite successful over there.
Also, I think if you make a Riesling for your wife, you have to throw the kitchen sink at it. You can't make a half-good Riesling.
I think that the first ever vintage, I think he made 15 different wines. No, it's like with 1 gram, 2 grams, 3 grams, and please choose your favorite.
Will we go on to the reds now?
Yes, definitely. Let's take a walk in the red side. No? Like that. So now we are moving from the Penedès area, from our homeland, to Ribera del Duero. Here again, with the 5th generation coming here, we have the new adventure of making wines in Ribera del Duero. We have our winery over there called Pago del Cielo. Well, again, another very, very old region for making wines. The Romans, they were already making wines here, but they were the Cistercian order from France that they established in the 12th century, and they created they established the viticulture here. What we can say of Ribera del Duero in terms of climate, in terms of soil, it is a plateau at very high altitude. We are talking about a plain at 900 meters above the sea level. In fact, our winery is at 895 meters above the sea level, and it's in the middle of Spain, so it's surrounded by mountains. And here in Ribera del Duero, we have a saying. We say that there are 9 meses de invierno y 3 meses de infierno. That means 9 months of winter and 3 months of hell, because the summers are very short, but extremely hot. And then we have very long winters. So if you compare Galicia, Rías Baixas, with mild summers, mild winters, with Ribera del Duero, with very strong and marked seasons, this is completely the opposite. Here we have this calcareous soil that is kind of clay, but like chalky soils, no? And I like to mention this because then when you taste the wine, you don't taste chalk, of course, but I would say the sensation or the feeling that you have with the Celeste in your palate is this kind of chalky, dusty tannins that will give you. The grape variety here at the start is like in Rioja, a very close appellation, is the Tempranillo. Here we have a 100% Tempranillo with a particular. First of all, the clone is different than in Rioja. This clone has a thicker skin, again to protect itself from the hot weather. We get benefit by this thick skin, and then the high altitude makes a wide what we call diurnal range or variation in temperature during the day and the night. We are talking about August having 32 degrees during the day at 2 p.m. and then at 2-3 a.m. you will have 12-15 degrees. That variation in temperature makes the grape to ripen during the day, and during the night this ripening stops, delays the maturation, and we arrive with good levels of sugar and alcohol and potential alcohol, alongside good level of ripeness in the skins and the pips that we use them for making the wine. For the Celeste Crianza that we will taste today, we are using vines that are 20 to 40 years old. This means that the vines are quite established over there. The concentration is really, really good. And well, this is our vineyard in Fontpedraza, where you can see beautiful landscapes here. We play with the word celeste, which means sky blue, and the label that is full of stars, because at that altitude, 895 meters above the sea level, we like to say that there is a magical connection between the sky and the land that you can taste through our Celeste wine, no? Well, here we can see the barrel room, and it's good to mention that here in Spain, historically, the wines were classified by aging, regarding the aging, both in the oak and in the bottles. This Celeste Crianza gets into the Crianza stage, and this means that the wine must be aged at least for 1 year in oak barrels and 1 year in the bottle before we release it to the market. This is what we do. We use French and American oak barrels, both because the oak is coming from different origins. It's a different species of oak, and it will impart or give us the different information. While the American oak can give you more smoky and coconut character, the French oak will give you more sweet spices like vanillas, cloves, and more tannins also in that you will taste in the palate. And this is our Celeste Crianza. I like to say that having a glass of Celeste Crianza is like going to the forest and pick a basket full of both black and red fruits mixed all together, and then this smoky and vanilla character proper from the aging in oak will make it even more like with more textures. No, it will give you more complexity. See, you have here, see.
It's very much like Rioja, except that it's much more full, or much more, there's richer, more tannins, and more forward, sort of, yeah.
Yes, here we have we have this I would say Rioja is more medium bodied, while here you have more tannins. You have more tannins, more color, a bit more of alcohol. It's due to this extreme weather. And that makes it a bit different. But here it's interesting because some people, they say, this wine is powerful, and if you say that in Ribera del Duero, they will not see you with a good face, because in my opinion, Celeste and Ribera del Duero is not about the power, it's about the finesse. It's about to try, when we say silk, velvet, no, and we try to describe the wine like this, it's what we try to feel in our palate. And here we don't have anything like alcoholic and powerful. We have something fine. In fact, over there, Tempranillo is known as Tinto Fino, or the fine red. That's how they call the grape variety over there. Not Tempranillo, but Tinto Fino. And it's about that, not about finding this silk or velvet in the palate.
And these are wines that age just as much as Rioja would age. You keep this for several years.
More, perhaps.
Yeah, possibly.
But Lucas, is it not a fair comparison? Because Rioja is not just, I mean, like obviously in Ireland, we have such a love affair with Rioja. So, you know, by comparison, I've thought it's fair to say it's bigger, it's richer, it's deeper, and obviously more powerful. I'm sorry,
but just as fun.
But just as fun. No, but by comparison to Rioja, it certainly is all of those things. It does have the balance and the finesse of that goes with that as well, which is great. But I think a lot of people just look for a very simple comparison where they see so much vanilla and so much oak coming through in aged Riojas where the tannins are softer, whereas this just holds so much more balance and weight, but it's richer at the same time.
Yeah, I guess it's like talking about the aging potential. I would say it's always depending on what you are comparing. We need to compare pairs with pairs, because if you compare Ribera del Duero Crianza with a Rioja Gran Reserva, the Rioja Gran Reserva will be much more complex, and you have more aging potential. But a good Rioja Crianza and a good Ribera del Duero Crianza, I would say they have similar aging potential. No, I wouldn't age this wine for 15 years, for example, being a Crianza. No, but I must tell you that this wine didn't reach its peak yet. I don't know if you have the 2017, 2018 vintage here, but I like these wines when they are 18. For example, the 18 vintage, we just launched it to the market, and I would say it will reach its peak in 5 or even 8 years.
And are vintages as important in Ribera as they are in, say, France or?
I mean, they're important, and I can tell you, for example, when was it? 2 days ago, I had 2 Riojas, but not from the house. Where I was having like a tasting. Well, it was not tasting because we were drinking, but I had a Rioja 2011 and 2014, and the 14 was okay, but the 11 was fantastic. And then I went online, I checked the vintages, the vintage chart for Rioja, and it was fantastic, because 14 was a good year, while 11 was an excellent year. So it does matter, but being here in this hot land, in Ribera del Duero, you have more consistency than in places like Bordeaux, that are close to the ocean, because here the main, it will always be hot here. The main threat in Ribera del Duero is always the hailstorms, that they will chop the amount of grapes that you will have, but not the quality. They will not compromise the quality. Now with the global warming, we must say that you have a heat wave that puts the sugar levels very high, and sometimes you need to pick while the grapes are not very ripe. Sorry, they are still green. Then the selection that you have to do is more exhaustive. You end up with less wine again, but we try to not to compromise quality. Ribera is quite consistent.
It would be great, Lucas, I think, and it's probably time after 3 wines to ask 1 or 2 other opinions out there of what they think of these and how they're getting on with them, because I know we all work in it, so we all taste these wines and taste Riocas and taste Riberas all the time. I love this. I think it's great finesse. I'm even getting some text messages here from a few people who are on the tasting who are saying the same thing. So it'd be lovely to jump. Someone who I see in my screen who's become a bit of a legend of these tastings, Shay, you're right there. And I've just asked you to unmute. So if you would tell us, what do you think of the Ribera if you're not in the middle of your dinner? Are you here? Sorry, 3 on the spot there, Shay. Apologies. You're still on mute, Shay, if you are talking, because I think you are chatting away to us.
Okay.
There you are. How are you?
Can you hear me now?
We can.
Yes. We have you. How are you?
Okay, great. Yeah, thoroughly enjoying the tasting so far. Well done, Lucas. Yeah, I mean the Celeste is it's a lovely wine. I must confess, first time for tasting it, but it's really going down a treat with everybody here. So yeah, congratulations, well done, and I look forward to getting a few more bottles of it, Will.
Oh, good, Shay. Good to hear. Well, you know, I was just saying to someone else a moment ago, I haven't had this wine in quite a while. It's €22, and it's, you know, for all the finesse and elegance that Lucas spoke about a moment ago, it's a really good, it's a really lovely wine. And I think a load of us are starting to kind of, you know, I see a trend where a lot of people are starting to maybe try Ribera as somewhere new that they can start to explore a bit, because so many of us have made our way around Rioja and the various age statements of Crianzas and Reservas and Gran Reservas. So it's lovely to try somewhere just slightly left of center. But, you know, I think we're in for a treat with the next couple of wines as well, because they're all from areas around You know, we're literally going, I think, pretty much in a whole circle all the way around Rioja, and a little further south. So it's great. So yeah, glad you're enjoying this one, Shay, and it's great. So should we? I'm conscious a little bit about the time as well. I know some of you haven't had dinners, and Jane and Paul are not likely to get dinner for quite a long time yet. But the rest of you might have dinners on the boil. So maybe we will jump on to the next wine. Which is
sorry, just before you go on, it's the importance of these type of tastings can't be overstated. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, look, you can. It's the old saying, you can taste 500 wines a week and you still wouldn't get through a complete vintage of the world. So, you know, there's so many wines out there, and it's only by these type of wine tastings, even if they are online, that you tend to get sort of a wider spread of wines and tastings with, as Lucas says, with a little bit of educational background on them as well. It's most enjoyable, and you know, I hope you continue on to do this.
Myself and Will have to start at breakfast time, maybe 8 o'clock in the morning, to get through a whole day of tasting till about 9 o'clock at night.
But none of us as good fun as this. Anyway, this is great, and you know, the atmosphere at the start of it is I think what we live for at the start and at the end when we're all done. And it's, you know, you came back again, Shane. It's great when you don't have to. We said that already at the start. Enough of us now. We thought that there would be an appetite when we, you know, can all be outside, but actually being at home and being able to drink a couple of bottles of wine, and taste and listen to experts like Lucas is a joy for us. So we hoped it would be for you, and great that you came back. So lovely to see you. Two
nightclubs rang us up actually in the last 10 minutes asking where you were, and he says, I think you're at a wine tasting with us. You'll be there later on.
Who was that? Was that Leo? was that Leo that was on to you?
We'll see you in there later on. So, Lucas, am I right in saying, Lucas, we're going to Purgatory next?
Yes, you're right.
This is one of your flagships, isn't it? Am I right?
Yeah, well, this is something, this is our new challenge, that is bringing Costers del Segre to the light. This is an appellation that is quite new here in Catalonia, but it's a very promising land, because we have, again, so many different microclimates here that you can play as much as you want. So we are talking about Costers del Segre and the Purgatory Vineyard, with this lovely name and a beautiful story behind the label. Costers del Segre is a place, is the most inland appellation in Catalonia. So here, similar to what happens in Ribera del Duero, expect more continental climate, dark seasons, cold winters, hot summers. And again, if you compare with the rest of the appellation, this is quite new. It was established in 1986, but with a lot of projects and a lot of winemakers establishing here and giving a promising future to the area. Well, we talk about the versatility of the area due to the microclimates, allows us to plant a lot of white varieties, a lot of red varieties, well, speaking specifically of Purgatory, we need to mention again monks. This is a little bit the land with the Mediterranean at the background, but a lot more inland. We have the Celler Purgatory. Purgatory, as the name says, is linked to the religion, to the Bible, and this is because for the people that was in Barcelona, or they heard about the Montserrat mountain, this mountain with a quirky shape. Montserrat stands for mountain, and Serrat for a saw, for a chainsaw, for a hacksaw. Sorry, and this is because of the shape of the mountain. Sorry. On top of that mountain, very close to Barcelona, I'd say 20 kilometers from Barcelona. On top of this mountain, there is a monastery. The monks are Benedictines, and they created, back in 1770, they created a purgatory. a place where they would send the monks who wouldn't behave or who wouldn't follow the orders of the monastery. They were sent in exile over there to this purgatory to suffer and to work the land for making wine and food for the good monks in the Montserrat. So imagine Barcelona, beautiful, sunny, with the sea very close, going to this place, very harsh. We are talking about -5 degrees during the winter and over 45 Celsius degrees during the summer. This is just crazy and very extreme. So this purgatory where they would suffer was the home of the exiles or the monks, the bad monks or the monks who wouldn't behave very good. We have here Miquel, the 5th generation, our CEO. We launched the winery, or we opened the winery. We received the first grapes in 2018. Here in the, you will see, we always play within the ancient winemaking and the modern winemaking in this winery. So you will see the house of the monks that was built in 1770 is on the left side of the picture, and the new winery on the right hand side. There is a magical connection when you go there, and you can see where the monks were making wine 300 years ago. The legend of the Purgatory is telling us that these monks that wouldn't behave, they were sent here, they were working the land, making the wines, putting them in barrels, and then some good monks were going to pick up the barrels and send it to the Montserrat mountain. The legend says that these monks, these good monks, when they were going to pick up the wine, some of the barrels were half empty, some of the barrels were completely missing, and the bad monks were blaming the angels. They were saying that as a way to pay for their sins, the angels were going down the cellar and they were tasting the wine, and because it was so good, they were taking the angel share, up to heaven. That's why you can see in the bottle, you can see a bunch of angels lifting a barrel, taking it to the tribute to the heaven. We know that was not true. That is only a legend, but it's a beautiful legend that it helped to build the Purgatory. In fact, as I was saying, through the new winery, you can go down to the basement where the monks were living. The particular for this winery is that we built it from the scratch, and we decided to use both stainless steel tanks and also these concrete tulips. We call them tulips because of the shape, but with a particular, this concrete is not any given concrete. What we did is, when we were making a hole or digging for the foundations of the winery, we decided to take that earth, sending it to the cooper or the tulip maker, and we asked him if we could blend that earth with the mixture of the concrete in order to give more sense of origin to the wine. So like this, the wine would always be in contact with the land that so it's growing, no? So these tulips are made out of the earth that we took to make the foundations. This is the barrel room for the Purgatory, beautiful. This is the crest or the coat of arms of Purgatory. This is Mount, you see, Montserrat. Mount for mountain, and Serrat, the hacksaw that you can see here. It's built in 1770, and Purgatory is the land where the bad monks started the viticulture here. Here for the Purgatory, what we do is we blend grapes. We blend Garnacha, Cariñena, and Syrah. Garnacha and Cariñena, local varieties that they are adapted very good to the hot weather. They are long cycle varieties. They ripe very, very late, and Syrah adapted very good to the hot weather. So we decided to add a little percentage of this Syrah, because we know it's a foreign wine, a foreign variety, but adapts very good to the area. These are the same varieties that you will taste in the Salmos, but they are coming from different places and they will give you different profiles. I like to say always that Garnacha brings the perfume, the red fruit characteristic. The Cariñena will give you the backbone. So the color is coming from the Cariñena. The tannins are coming from the Cariñena. And the Syrah, here I use my Argentinian skills. It's like when we love barbecues and we love grilling, no? And Syrah is like when you have a nice piece of steak and you put a little bit of salt and pepper, so you season to make it even more beautiful. This is the Syrah. So we use it to round the blend, giving this peppery finish, and Syrah gives always a juicy character to the wine.
It's very much like a blend. Sorry, Lucas. It's very much like a blend from Châteauneuf-du-Pape.
Well, we are very close to south of France, so you will see a lot of how to say similarities within Châteauneuf-du-Pape and this part of Spain, Catalonia, Empordà. We share a lot of varieties. For example, if you ask Mr. Torres about Grenache and Carignan, he will tell you, stop. Garnacha, Cariñena, they are Spanish varieties that they were took to France. So he really believes that they are Spanish, and he has a lot of knowledge. He studied a lot about viticulture, so I would not doubt that it's like that. So yes.
Can I just ask the effect of the grape varieties not being upfront and center on this wine? I mean, we're in a world now where so many consumers around the world buy wines that they know the grape varieties that they love, and you really have to look for it here to learn it. But if this was in our own section in a wine shop, I mean, it's such a wonderful wine, and it's as good as any blend of Syrah Carignana or Syrah Carignan from anywhere in the world. But is that a difficulty to market a wine like this, or no?
No, to be honest, again, this I said before at the very beginning of this wine explanation, I said this is the new challenge of the family. So to get to know Costés del Segre as a wine that is coming from a hot region. It's true that sometimes it can help to add the grape variety in the blend, but this is not the case. We like to say that we love wines that tells you where they are coming from, and it's true that the job is to make the people open a bottle, but as soon as you open a bottle of Purgatory, it tells you that it's coming from a hot place with this very ripe fruit characteristic. But yeah, since it's also a blend, and also again with Garnacha, Cariñena, and a little bit of Syrah, we are diminishing the percentage of Syrah, and I know that in the 19 vintage that is already made, they didn't introduce Syrah. So we are focusing in Mediterranean varieties, and this blend might change. So I guess this is why we decided not to add the name of the varieties in the because the blend might change, and then we will confuse people.
The name will never change.
No, the name, the grapes, they might change, but the percentage might change. But the name, the Purgatory, the name was given 300 years ago. This is something that is very interesting from the family, and this is fantastic. Is that we like to innovate with modern techniques, but at the end of the day, what we are doing is not more than bringing back the tradition of wine, or keeping alive the tradition in Catalonia and in Spain that was making wine. No, I can tell you of many places that the family recovered as a wine area that they were completely forgotten, and we brought them back to the light. And this Purgatory area is one of them. Excellent. So going back to the wine, you see that is very juicy. It just bursts in your nose. These aromatics, similar to what you will feel in the Salmos, is this Mediterranean character. When we speak about Mediterranean character, is when you go to the vineyard, you will find a lot of vines, of course, but a lot of rosemary, thyme, these aromatic herbs that are growing next to the vineyards, and you certainly can feel them here.
I find
it's fresh, isn't it? Yeah, it's crunchy. It's not quite crunchy apples because it is such a big wine, but you can smell it in the glass.
Well, I remember I worked down in the south of France, and the first thing that we tasted or the smell from the wines was the Gailhac.
La garriga, claro.
Yeah,
Wait.
this is what I get from this.
Yeah, we call it garriga. Garriga is a bunch of herbs that they grow wild over there. That it can be sage, thyme, rosemary, all together. And yes, it's like you pick a bunch of these, a handful, you smell it, and it's what you have in the glass. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's a lovely blend of having such a ripe, big wine, and then this lovely elegance that comes from all of that.
I think.
Oh, sorry.
No, and I think that is interesting because you smell something that is very ripe. You expect something very rich, tannic, alcoholic, and although you have 14.5 alcohol is over there, it's very well integrated with the concentration of fruit and freshness. We are using oak. We use 15 to 18 months of oak aging. It's only French, mostly 300 liters. We are using foudres, bigger tanks, because we want the impact of the oak to be smaller. With the time we are getting there, and it's because the consumers, they are asking for less oak. And I like to say, like, oak in the wine has to be like a frame in an artwork. So if the wine is the artwork, the oak has to be the frame. It helps to make it more beautiful. If you have a frame that covers the artwork, it doesn't help. And this is how we use the oak. This is our philosophy, our approach of the oak.
Super.
It's a quick question, Lucas. On Donald has asked just a couple of slides ago, and there's loads of conversation in the chat if anyone wants to pop in there and just read up on it. But one of the questions being the difference between the effect on wine of those concrete julep tanks that you have and the difference of amphora, which I guessed was just at scale when Purgatory make the wine on you can control temperatures maybe, but I think Donald was trying to ask or was questioning, is there a difference in the flavor of wine between those concrete tanks and I suppose the fact that you built them with the soil that actually is in the ground where the grapes are grown, maybe there is, but the difference between the two.
I'd say amphora usually is a smaller vessel, and you use it mostly for after you ferment the wine, you put it in amphora to age, because amphoras usually they have a very narrow top, and if you put the grapes inside, it's almost impossible to take them back, to take them outside, and then amphoras, they might be made out of clay, and the clay breathe a little bit more than the concrete. This especially our concrete tanks, they are quite wide. They are more than 10 centimeters, and I would say the exchange with the oxygen it happens inside. When you empty the tank, and all the pores, they are filled with air, then you put the wine, and the oxygen is coming from there. The thick walls makes the temperature to be more constant. It kind of isolate, while the amphora is a little bit or is much more thin, and the interchange with oxygen is bigger. That might be the biggest difference. One is for aging, the other one is for fermenting. One is thinner, the other one is thicker, and one has more oxygen interchange, and the other one a little bit less.
It's refreshing that you're not. A lot of the wine tastings we do, there's an awful lot of emphasis on oak barrels, and always talking about oak barrels, and there's very little of it here. We're talking less and less about oak and more about more about freshness, and it's really good to hear.
Yeah, and I think there's a change of paradigm. If you think in 90s, beginning of 2000, everything was about oak, because oak gives the wine tannins, and tannins are antioxidant. So if you want aging potential, maybe you use a lot of oak, and no, there was a tendency of giving aging potential with the oak. And now they realize that maybe oak is good, but too much oak, we can replace it with the acidity. Acidity is also antioxidant. So that aging potential now is given by the acidity rather than the oak. Oak is good to give complexity, but we have other weapons to fight oxidation now.
Lucas, I've just been reminded I've just been reminded to keep an eye on the clock. I have to say I got dizzy eyes on this wine actually myself, because I love Purgatory. I think it's an absolutely great wine. And on the link that's just further back up, I'll stick it up again in a little while as well if anyone missed it. But that's a €30 wine and like a €24 on the promo that you guys have supported. I love it. I think it's really comparable to. Obviously, we spoke about Southern Rome, but even to a really balanced Bordeaux, it's not terribly different.
It's not
and
terribly.
it's lovely. But we should jump.
Yeah, you can say you could say it's a hot vintage of Pauillac, a hot one.
Yeah, well, they're getting hotter anyway there. So, but maybe what we'll do, just in case anyone has to jump off, right? Because it's not fair to keep. Usually on these we would always say at 9 p.m. We said it was 9 o'clock. That if anyone needs to drop off, they can, and please do. Maybe we'll do Salmos, and we'll dive through Salmos in 5 or 6 minutes if we could, and then we'll maybe do the draw before the Moscatel and the dessert wine. And if anyone does drop off, they could.
I'm really sorry because I keep talking and then I always forget.
You actually have been
amazing.
Amazing.
A lot to get through.
Yeah.
You have a lot to get through, Lucas, and you're doing it superbly, and we're really grateful. So it's really enjoyable listening to you. So will we do Salmos, and perhaps then we'll do the draw for a trip to Spain and come back.
Excellent. So to speak about Salmos, we need to go to Priorat. So if you see Priorat here, I like to explain Priorat very simple. It's like a fried egg. Being the yolk Priorat and Monsant, the appellation is the white. It's a place that is surrounded by mountains, but it's not a plain. It's not like Ribera del Duero. Here we have a very hilly point in Priorat. Here we are, and well, again, a lot of history. The monks from the Carthusian order, the monks that they make the chartreuse, the green liquor, they established here in the 12th century. They couldn't find as much herbs as they needed, so they started with viticulture. Like this, everything started here in the 12th century. There was a new beginning or a renaissance with a bunch of guys going in the late 80s over there establishing. But the Familia Torres was making wines, or not making, but buying wines from Priorat to make the wines from the Penedès and Catalonia better. Because in Priorat, we have very concentrated wines with a lot of alcohol, a lot of tannins, a lot of colors. So if some wines of the Penedès were a little bit weak, they were blending them with Priorat wines and making it better. You need to remember that 100 years ago, the wine was paid by alcohol level. So the more alcoholic the wine, the more they would pay. No, this is something that still in some places I still keep hearing this, that the wine, if it's 14 and a half, is good. If it's 13, it's not good. It's nothing to do with quality, but it's good to demystify this, no? So if we speak about Priorat, again, it's surrounded by mountains. The seasons are quite marked, but we still have a little bit of influence from the Mediterranean Sea that would be on the lower part of the screen. You see here, there are no valleys. Everything is on hills. In fact, some of the hills are so steep that or some of the slopes are so steep that in order to make it easier for viticulture, we carve terraces, respecting the landscape, respecting the orography, but we carve terraces. So like this, we make it viable, no? And we don't die trying to make wine. So here you can see a mix in our Mas de la Rosa estate, very iconic for us. You see a mix of old vines planted on the plain slope and new vines planted in terraces that we carved. You have another beautiful view of this landscape. This is the typical landscape in Priorat. You go there, and the only difficult thing is that maybe to make 2 kilometers, it takes you half an hour because everything is so curvy and in the middle of the nowhere. And it's where we have the Salmos. If we need to speak about Priorat, also we must mention the Licoreia. Licoreia is this slate schist, this metamorphic rock that is being pressed with the time, with the millions and million years. It's very compressed, and it creates this slate that at the same time it keeps the heat and during the day and release it during the night. this is fantastic because for varieties like Garnachas, Cariñenas, and Syrahs, mainly Garnacha Cariñena, they need heat to fully ripe, and this Licorella will do it. Also, it's good this Licorella because it's quite crumbly, and the amount of rain that falls here is very little. All the moist, because of this schist or this slate, goes down or drains very fast. The roots, they must make their place within the cracks of this slate in order to look for water, and that will give good established radicular system and very consistent flavors, no? And well, this is the Salmos, a blend of Garnacha, mainly Garnacha with Cariñena, and just a little bit of Syrah that is since the vintage 2017, 2018, we are removing the Syrah. We like to keep the Mediterranean varieties like Garnachas and Cariñenas. And again, a wine that if you see the technical sheet, it should taste similar to the Purgatory because it's Garnacha, Cariñena, a bit of Syrah, about 14 months of oak aging for this wine. And the way that Jordi, the winemaker, works is that 25% of the oak is new. The other 25 is second use, 25 third use, 25 fourth use. So the idea is that if we have, let's say, 10 barrels, 25%, or let's make it easier, 12 barrels, 3 barrels will be new. 3 barrels will be second use, 3 barrels third, and 3 barrels fourth use. The next year, we get rid of the fourth use barrel, we bring 3 new, and then we will do like this. The idea again is to balance the impact of the oak and to give more importance to the grapes. And the Cariñenas here and the Garnachas, they grow beautifully, although very I would say very concentrated. Here you have more black fruits than maybe in the Purgatory. And the Mediterranean herbs are more marked here. So if you had a hint of Mediterranean herbs in the Purgatory, here you will feel them even more. And sometimes people here is when they speak about minerality, and that word, this is very for the debate, no? But I guess that all the fruit that you have in the Purgatory, in this poor soil, you don't have it, and all what is not fruit is the minerality. No, I don't know if it's wet stone or chalky but it's definitely here.
And tell me, the food that you would have with this, I think it has to be red meat, it has to be gamey, it has to be that sort of really wintry sort of. It's a pure winter wine, isn't it?
Yes, yes. For here, I think for rich concentrated wines, we need to go for rich concentrated food. Sorry, after 4 glasses of wine, I'm being so late, you know, my words and stuff. No, for the salmons, we put in the recipes the pork cheeks, and I think it's good to have something rich, but with a creamy mashed potato or even the red wine jus, that will go very good for this game. Like wild boar here is fantastic. Even the duck with the truffle sauce, it goes very good.
For simpler folk like me, we do a stew, like a lamb stew over here, and we have herbs, we have thyme, and we have all that lovely sort of herbaceous thing going on in it. That to me would be what I
definitely. And if you don't want to, or maybe you're not into the meat, like a stew like this, but instead of meat, with legumes, you know, with broad beans and chickpeas, something also rich, wintry. It's perfect.
Well, it's getting top marks in the chat, Lucas. It seems to be many people's favorites. I so far, I really think the Purgatory for balance is just remarkable. This is most certainly an Irish winter wine. It's remarkable.
It's very much an impact wine. It's got lots and lots of flavor. I got lots of licorice from it, lots of herbs. maybe too much to actually make a decision right now. I'll have to
You
drink some more later
come
on.
back to it in a few moments. Lucas, just before we jump on and do the draw, before we go to the Moscatel, someone else earlier asked, and a question I've been meaning to come back to you for you is, if you had €50 in your back pocket and could buy any bottle of Spanish wine at all, leaving your bias for Torres behind, what would it be?
I would ask for €10 to my wife, and I would go for a master plan.
It's a lot cheaper there than it is here.
No, but for €50, no. But the thing is, there are so many good wines under €50 that you don't need to spend €50. Man,
give 20 to your wife.
He was asking 410 for his.
Okay.
No, that's why. No, I think like for these salmos for around €30, this would make my day easily. No, I don't have to spend €50. Maybe one with a little bit more renowned. Well, there is a little winery here in the Penedès that is a fantastic story. Maybe we can do another session. Jean Leon.
Jean Leon, we know.
Yeah, Jean Leon is a little winery here in the Penedès. Used to belong to Jean Leon. He was a close friend of Mr. Torres, and he decided to give it away because he got cancer and he died. Is still over there, and is making, in my opinion, one of the best value Cabernet Sauvignon in Spain, and not only in Spain, like everywhere. The Cabernet Sauvignon La Scala from Jean Leon is a Gran Reserva, and is absolutely delightful. And here in Spain, they sell it under €40. But the good thing of Spain is that you don't have to spend a lot of money to get a great wine.
We just have to pay for the flight over first.
Yeah, it's true.
Not
once you get here, wow,
people don't have to. The next person doesn't have to pay that.
Well, Lucas, it's
not the next person.
It's my hope, Lucas, that you're in Spain, that you're in Penedès when the winners get to go over there and they get to meet you in person and do this. You know what? When you come to Ireland, it'll be brilliant. Maybe we've said it many times actually. When we've said it plenty of times on other tastings. But you know what? It's such a lovely thing here tonight, and it would be awesome. I know Lazio, I think, would enjoy maybe a tasting in person. Maybe next year, maybe 2022.
Yeah, we'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
How awesome! It would be great. But in the meantime, let's do the draw. So, a couple of things. I mentioned in the email to you all yesterday, and we'll come back to the Moscatel and the dessert wine in just a few minutes. But I mentioned in the email yesterday that the trip will be organized in Q2 onwards. So generally a great time to visit Spain and the wineries is from April on. And that's because the buds all burst from April. The vineyards start to look beautiful. And the teams are out and around the vineyard. So when you go there, there's a lot to see and to look at. And obviously it's springtime, so it's a really nice time. January, February, March is not lovely. So at a time to be decided between the winner and Torres, and we'll kind of work with you both to make the trip. But it's got flights to Barcelona, hotel for a couple of nights. Torres have said they'll kindly come to the hotel, pick you up, bring you out for a day in the winery to see the winery, lunch in Masterplana, of the photos of which we saw earlier, of where Miguel Torres lives. So it's amazing. I got to a lunch a couple of years ago and got to sit beside him, and I just had this amazing feeling of being in probably the most esteemed company I've been in the time I've been in the wine business. So it was a real pleasure. So to go to that winery will be just a really remarkable trip. Anyway, we had this big great digital thing going on where we do a random wine picker, and we didn't like it actually. We thought it was a bit kind of twee, and we do too much digital stuff all year round and all day round. So we went back to the old trusty bucket. So we have exactly 100 names in the bucket. We did it just before we came on, and we said, nah, it's much more fun than just hitting a random picker online. But I can promise you all of your names are in there. So let's do it. Michael, maybe you'll pick a...
Do you want to pick it?
No, I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't. This is not on me. This is not on me. Sorry, you should look away.
Okay. So I'm after picking one.
Okay. So if you're here, and of course, that's the thing, you have to be here on the call to make it fair for absolutely everybody. So I'm really sorry if you're not, but I really hope, Orla Piggott, you are on the call. Tell us if you are here, Orla.
Oh, yes, I am. Oh my God, I'm absolutely blown away. Wow, I can't believe this.
Give us a look
Seriously?
at you. Give us a look at you.
Oh God, okay.
We deserve at least that.
Oh, I'm absolutely blown
You're
away.
already in
Thank you so
Spain.
much.
You're already in Spain. Fantastic. Oh, well, congratulations.
Oh my
Hello,
God, thank you,
congratulations.
Thank you. I can't wait to go. And Lucas, I can't wait to meet you. Brilliant.
Fantastic.
Oh my God, I'm absolutely
Congratulations.
What part of the
Yeah,
country
cheers.
are you in, Olga?
Pardon?
What part of the country are you in?
I'm in Dublin.
Okay.
Ah, fantastic. That's great, Olga. Well done.
Oh my God, thank you so
it's
much.
awesome because when we were working with the guys on the trip with both Finladers, who are Torres distributor in Dublin, and also with Lucas, we thought about whether we would make it part of a bigger trip later on next September. So we had planned a customer wine trip to both Ribera and Rioja maybe last September, which didn't happen. And then we said, no, let's just make this a flagship trip straight to Barcelona, out to Penedès. And you know what? It's brilliant because the reaction from everyone was so positive about having the potential or the chance to win some of that tonight. So we are kind of taking that as it's a real opportunity. You know, these tastings have been a chance for you guys to meet winemakers directly, and so we're trying to continue that thing, I think, and the access to be able to get to the vineyard and actually meet them face to face is brilliant. So it's a space we're going to hopefully do more in and try and bring more of these types of trips or these types of prizes or whatever. You know, it's a bit of fun and it's good at the end of that. So congratulations,
well
massive
done.
congratulations.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Well done. So we will move swiftly, will we? Because I know some of you are probably dying to get to dinner if you haven't already gone and done it. And if you do need to drop off, do please. The recording will come out and we'll send it on Monday or Tuesday latest. Oh, sorry, it'll be Tuesday, Wednesday, of course, with the bank holiday weekend. So if anyone has any wine left after tonight, you've got 3 days of a weekend to enjoy it. But yes, dessert wine, Moscatel. Lucas, back to you. Are you there?
Sí. I'm still here. Here we are. Yeah. This will be, if for the people that is about to have dinner, I would leave it for later on, no? Because it's not extremely sweet, but of course it's a sweet wine, no? We are talking about Floralis, no? It's made out of Moscatel. I like to say it is not technically a wine. We call it vino de licor or vin de liqueur. It's a sweet fortified wine. So basically what we do with the Floralis is we pick the grapes, but when they are overripe, they are almost raisins. No, it's what we call the passerillage. We leave the grapes on the vines till they shrivel. The sugar, the water evaporates. The sugar concentrates. We will pick them. We will press them, and with this raisin juice, we will add brandy. Not the brandy as we know it aged in barrels and brown, but when the wine is just distilled, we will add this until we reach 15 degrees of alcohol. So like this, we have all the fruit reminiscence of the Moscatel with the alcohol desired to make a vin de liqueur, no, a Floralis. And if you see the bottle, you see the name, and you smell the wine. It's all about flowers. No, this reminds you a garden full of geraniums, roses, and again, the wine is not lusciously sweet. We are talking about 90 grams of residual sugar, but still with a good acidity enough to balance that sweetness. And if you think or compare this wine with other sweet wines, other stickies like Sauternes or even the Muscat de Ruderglen, this is not as sweet as the other ones, and it's not as not heavy, but it's not as rich. So I wouldn't go for something very rich for this wine in terms of sweetness, but still, I would go for something creamy, like the typical Catalan cream, no, similar to the creme brulee, but we can add some cinnamon. We can add some skin of orange. So something creamy is good for fruit-based desserts. This is perfect. So if you have a fruit salad, let's go for the floralis, no? Even for the Catalan cream, we always, or not always, but what you can do is having a Catalan cream and also a mandarin sherbet, no, a sorbet, some watery ice cream and or citrusy ice cream, and it will be perfect. So floral or moscatel, no, this is Mediterranean variety called by the Greeks this or the Romans, no, they were calling it apianae because the sweetness and the smell was always bringing the bees next to the grapes. And also Muscat, is good to mention that Muscat is after the fermentation still reminds you grape juice, no? And this is the typical Muscat, very grapey, a lot of flowers, and it's a wine that, in my opinion, is so easy to drink that it's dangerous.
In all of the tastings that I ever did when I was doing courses, they always asked, why does wine never taste of grapes? And the very one exception was Moscato or Muscat. It always smelt of grapes. You always knew what it was in blind tastings.
I'm lucky being here because we are surrounded by vineyards. The town is very small, and we have a sea of vineyards around us. And every time there is a harvest time, I go and pick the grapes, and I go with the winemakers, and they explain it's fantastic to taste the grapes. Also, well, Olga, if you come around the harvest time, it's perfect because we have a garden of varieties. We have one row of most of the varieties that we have planted here in the Penedès. So you are able to pick the grape and taste it, no? And for the Muscat, it's always very funny and particular because you taste the grape and then you have a glass of Muscat and it's pretty much the same. It's fantastic. So it's always good to live with this sweet sweet treat. And I think with this we finished the tasting. We did a little trip to Spain that was fantastic. It took us a little bit more than 1 hour, but
Lucas, you've done a fantastic trip. Like, yeah. I feel like, well, I almost feel like I was there now. If Olga wants to ask me to go, I could be there.
But she does get to bring someone, so there's it's you or me. That's I'd imagine she's.
But no, it was a great tasting. I think from all of the chat aside, everybody sort of agrees that it's just been a joy. Will, you're better at summing up all of these things.
Yeah, I think anyone only needs to look in the chat to see that it's been a fun evening. As we've said numerous times, it's most enjoyable for us because you chose to be here tonight. You weren't forced out of zero other options to do it. But yeah, Lucas, you've been one of the most interesting people we've had the pleasure of listening to over the last long time doing these. Because it's just fascinating, and I knew it would be by being a journey of the Torres family and of all of the vineyards and understanding why the whole family went out of their way to plant and to grow grapes in so many different regions and why. So that was always going to be a fascinating story, but you really brought it to life. Your slides were brilliant. I mean, the photographs alone just put you in the vineyard. So remarkable evening. I know we're a little bit over. But somebody even said if you haven't cooked the recipes, you've got the rest of the weekend to do it. And and there's also been many people turnouts on recipe cooking tonight as well. Loads of you have done that. So look, we won't keep you all too much longer. I'll be in touch with you next week about your trip, and I'll just touch base.
Lucas, Will, Michael, thank you for a lovely evening. Lucas, those wines are superb. I could find no fault with any of them, which is surprising. Beautiful wines. We'll be back for more, Will. Thank you.
Olga, can we all come on that trip with you?
Thank you.
I think there's going to be a lot of people fighting to come on this trip.
It might be like, yeah, I'm first up, okay?
Okay. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of fighting over this one, I think.
I think you're right.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks, Will.
You're here.
I'm so excited.
I'm delighted to hear second capital opinions on the wine. And it's good to have the first capital also joining in. So, thank you very much for having us. And I think a lot of us enjoyed it down here. You know, we like a lot of the Spanish wine. and the wine from the south of France, etc., etc. And I was fortunate to meet Miguel Torres in my time in the Mas Planas restaurant. So it was good to have us all together. Thank you very much.
I'm on Monday to see if you're behaving yourselves down in the first.
We also, just to mention, we've a couple of other ones in the pipeline. So we are looking at and think it will happen, but we hope to do the tour. So Burgundy family from France making wines in the Burgundy area and further down south, and we hope to maybe have Louis the tour.
Yeah, would be interesting.
Their agents there in January time, just after Christmas. And a couple of other ones. Austria, I think, is in the mix with something Irish planned around St. Patrick's Day as well for next year. So look, it's been really good for us. We're great crack. We really love it. Lucas, a big thanks to you. Michelle, Peter, massive thanks over in Finlanders as well. Big
thank you, Finlander people, for making it happen.
It's our pleasure. Our pleasure.
Mr. Finlander.
Lucas, thanks so much. And everyone, thanks for your time, patience, and for sticking around for so long. I'm sorry you all couldn't win. Like, that's just awful. Like, it would be for everyone to have won that trip, but brilliant you did.
Next time we organize a group trip and we come all together. Yeah, it'll be fun.
Lucas, I'm dead now that you just said that.
So yeah, good luck to everybody. Enjoy the nightclubs tonight and
the long weekend.
And the long weekend.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a million, guys. Well done, Wine Online. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thanks a million. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Enjoy.
Thank you so much. Yeah, well,
Thank you very much. Really enjoyed it.
You've done it.
Thank you.
And thank you, DJ Gailhac, for your commentary.
By the way, we're not muting everyone at this part. It's also one of our favorite parts as well.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
See
you.
you in Ireland. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, we'd love there all day.
Thanks, Will.
Thanks, guys.
Here's to the
Thanks
2022
so much,
trip, Will.
I can't believe I won this.
How are you?
Just
to mention, Stephen, come on, yeah, your first
Try again. No.
It'll kind of be a corporate trip.
I can't believe I've won this prize. I really can't. I'm just so excited.
Very good.
I know.
Very good.
I've never been to Penedès myself, and it's you're in for a treat. I think.
No.
It's an amazing prize. Absolutely amazing. So now I have to work out who to bring with me.
It's a hard choice. You have to pick one of us. I wouldn't like to be you. Have to do it.
He doesn't do very much initially, you know.
Right.
There's no length to that. How did you taste that?
Yeah. I think of it.
With top price.
Probably just have to drink a lot of it. It's just one dimension. It is. It just is. Yeah. You could actually put that down into a brandy glass and look good with it, you know.
But is there anything?
It's not too much to it, sure.
And Mullen, how are you?
Which one did I?
Brilliant. Look, I've got to go anyway. Thanks so much.
For the second match.
Will, I will probably talk to you during the week. Brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks, Olga. Talk soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.